Welcome to This is Family Hour of the Yahweh blog. I'm your host, Craig Wynn, that handsome guy in the middle of Sylvia's painting. I guess that is the shallow blue sea. A little bit of a reef picture as a scuba diver. So you're snorkeling for us now. There, Kevin. Good to
Yeah,
see you.
I'm under the sea tonight. Yeah, and the painting name is Pink Surprise. So I
Oh, it's
thought it
Pink
was
Surprise.
apropos. Yeah.
Okay, that is a problem. We actually have a huge echo, Rich. I don't know if you can resolve the echo issue or not, but it's
What's playing? You got your phone on?
somebody has got.
Okay, I need to turn my phone
Okay.
off, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a real problem here. Okay, maybe that is the solution.
Okay.
Okay, so there's a new painting that she has done that I think is her most beautiful, which is the moon on the sea, and it is really stunning. So that's another one for a future show.
Absolutely.
And hello there, JB. You are back in the mountains.
Yep.
It's a pretty elevated scene for a fellow that's still living in Texas.
Yeah, I'm kind of flatland, but
But you're dreaming of mountains.
yeah, oh man, I'd move to the Smoky Mountains in a heartbeat. It is gorgeous.
It is gorgeous. It is gorgeous. It's really it's nature at its very best, particularly this time of year. And we have Dr. Jeff actually at work now, and so if we last time we had you with your telephone, so that if you were on call, you would be responsible and could go in and save a life. But you're actually at the hospital, and so if something happens where you are needed, we're going to expect you without apologies just to get up and go save a life.
Will do.
Okay, good to see you, Dr. Jeff. And we have this handsome fellow over here. This is Shannon. Shannon did a program with us 2 or 3 programs ago. He is the traveling covenant member who has visited more covenant families, I think, than anybody by a considerable margin. And so we're delighted to have Shannon here again in Family Hour. Shannon is actually pinch hitting this evening by rain check. Evidently, Shannon was invited out to go to some very unusual form of fishing. It sounded almost like bucket fishing of some sort. And it was postponed, I think, maybe to tomorrow night. So he is here, and we'll notice that my good friend Kirk is not. Kirk had a procedure that was done a few days ago, and he is gradually ramping back up to health. And until he gets a little more vitality, we're going to enjoy the realization that Kirk and Sylvia are listening. But this would be it's a little rough for Kirk having just undergone the procedure so recently. And without any lights on him, he is dark there in the corners, like he's trying to hide out. But that is a very fine camera that you've got on you that's able to make all of this work. That is Rich, who now has at least one light on.
Working just fine.
Good to see it. Yeah, liking it. I can hide in the corner. We know who the introverts are in the crowd. What we're doing in this program is because we're continuing to celebrate Sukkah. Sukkah is a real benefit to us because it's 8 days, and the 8 days are all focused on a singular event. Well, Chag Sukkah, of course, is 3 events, but Sukkah itself is a return to the garden. It's a really lovely mikre or of a moed, because it is the destination that Yah was trying to bring us back to. But because it's 8 days, we have an opportunity to talk about it a lot. Mm-hmm. And fortunately, there's a lot that is said on it, and we can bring that to your attention. And I do think that in the last 4 or 5 shows, maybe this is 6 or 7 that we've now done on Sukkah, we've cut a lot of new ground. I don't think there's anybody that has ever said emphatically that Sukkah and Gan Eden, the Garden of Eden, are synonymous. Mm-hmm. That the conditions experienced in Eden will be the conditions experienced again by us when we enjoy the fulfillment of Sukkah in your 6,000 year, which is just 8 years from now. I think that's pretty extraordinary. And the whole realization that Sukkah and its actionable root and Gan for garden and its actionable root say exactly the same thing. To be covered, to be protected, and to be sheltered, which means that it's the exact opposite of somebody building a flimsy hut to hang out in, thinking that they're doing something that is religious. Well, they are doing something that's religious, but it is the antithesis of what God actually said. He is offering to bring us back into a sheltered garden to protect us from the elements, not to expose us.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that is a fairly profound insight regarding Sukkah that had not previously been considered. And we began all of this with a bit of excitement over, well, what was the nature of Eden? Because if you want to understand what God is offering, He's saying that I'm going to bring you back into the garden for 1,000 years. Well, shouldn't you know what took place in the garden to see if you want to? I mean, 1,000 years is a long time. You want to spend 1,000 years with God in the conditions of Eden, because clearly Jawa didn't, and ultimately Adam chose that he didn't either. So what we have to have is a mindset that is different than Jawa's and Adam's, to be comfortable exposed to Yahweh for 1,000 years. So, this is such an important insight, that to recognize that the first two people that were exposed to the garden chose to leave it.
Yeah. Cut themselves out. Yeah.
They cut themselves out. And I think that the other thing that was so profound in our previous shows was this realization of, we get right down to the story of what transpired in Gan Eden, that no one has ever really talked about these things before. But since we're heading back to Gan Eden, I think it's actually essential, particularly in wake of the fact that the mother goddesses now have an entire site that is devoted to trying to discredit and demean me. It's almost hilarious that they continue to do this sort of thing. But in that light, it is really important to understand what went awry in Eden. Why didn't it work? Why did they reject Yahweh? And what we find is that, and we're going to say some things here that are likely, again, are going to upset some people, but all I know how to do when I'm trying to communicate what Yahweh is offering us and expecting in return is to go where the words lead. And I'm going to share with you where the words lead, and then we can wrestle with them and try to find out whether or not we understand this message. But the first is rather important. Yahweh said that he created Adam in his image, didn't he? Which means, and he uses the same word that we have considered in our last program, Tetzel, which speaks of a representation of something in a lesser dimension, just like a blueprint is a 2D rendering of a 3D home or building. Right. So we are a lesser dimensional version of Yahweh, which means that Yahweh would have a soul like we have a soul. That wouldn't function the same way. Yahweh doesn't have a body like we have a body, but he has a personality like we do. And he has a conscience. He has a consciousness. He has conscience. And he has the ability to think, to reason, to act. And he has love of family. And so there's a lot of characteristics that you would then extrapolate to say we're a lesser version of Yahweh. Now, that's profound in its own way, which means that the only way that Yahweh can have an ongoing long-term relationship with us is to increase our dimensionality. we have to go from 3 dimensions past 4, 5, 6, and ultimately become 7-dimensional to have a close, personal, long-term relationship with Yahweh. So now we know that the purpose of the Moed Mikre is to increase our dimensionality. That's why the fire is such an important metaphor. We can't do one, unfortunately, tonight because we have a hurricane that is passing by just north of us. And hurricanes, even if you're not in the wind field of them, and we're not, the Malak have done a very fine job in pushing it far enough away. But we are getting the rains. And one of the things I've learned about fire is they don't like water.
Yeah.
Fire and water are beautiful together. They just don't mix.
All right.
So we don't have a fire tonight. But that's the whole purpose of God saying to us that he wants us to answer his invitation and to approach this fire, because the fire is transformative. It takes us a 3-dimensional organic entity like wood, and it transforms it into energy and light. And energy and light are massively more energy prone, more capable, more powerful by the speed of light squared compared to matter. In fact, energy is organized, or matter is organized energy. Matter is really energy dumbed down, if you will. So that's a profound aspect of all of this, is that as a representation of Yahweh, we are in lesser dimensions, and so he has to increase our dimensionality. Next is that we look at the garden, and we're told that it was a gan, which means that it was sheltered and enclosed and protected and covered. And sukkah, the root of sukkah, sakak, means to be covered, to be enclosed, to be protected. Exactly the same thing. So we see this commonality between the two, and so we're headed back to Gan Eden. Therefore, it's important to know what transpired there, and that Gan Eden was a protective enclosure. There was the viciousness of life that was ongoing outside, and so they were protected from those elements. They weren't exposed to the elements; they were protected from them.
Right.
And that is what the purpose of Sukkah is to be protected from those things as opposed to exposed to them. All right, the next thing is Yahweh created Adam in his image. Did he create Chawa in his image? No, he created Chawa in the image of Adam, correct? All right, out of Adam. All right, so he created Adam in his image. And it's obvious, based upon the narrative, that he created Adam for the purpose of having a relationship. And that relationship had reciprocity. They were both engaged together. They worked together. They contributed together. They talked together. They walked together. They had fun together. They explored together. They enjoyed life together. Correct?
Yeah.
Pretty much an accurate depiction. So Adam was absolutely created for Yahweh's enjoyment and for the purpose of Yahweh to enjoy a relationship with him. And what is the one thing that Yahweh told Adam that he wanted to accomplish with him? He wanted to tend the garden with him.
Oh, yeah, work together.
He wants to work with Adam. Did Yahweh ever say that he wanted to work with Chawa?
No.
Nope.
Nope.
Did Yahweh? Okay, so let's just that's a profound insight, right there.
Yeah.
Okay? He said this to Adam, and he did not say this to Chawa. Now, I'm not trying to demean women here. I mean, I love women. I don't think there's anybody that is aggressively making themselves vulnerable through teachings about God, or even subjects of exposing the fallacies of religion and politics, who is as universally supportive of women as I am.
Right.
And I have risked my life and my reputation multiple times to many times to protect women. And even the women that are part of the mommy goddess cult that are so aggressive trying to demean me, there isn't a single one of them that I've ever done anything harmful to. And there's some of them that I was exceedingly uplifting and positive and nurturing and supportive and protective of.
Yeah.
So I just want to deal with the facts as they are. And as I say, some of this is going to sting a little bit. There is, when God was having this relationship with Adam, was there evidence that they talked together?
No.
Adam and
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
But
I mentioned not Yahweh, but Adam and Yahweh. Evidence that they talked together.
Yeah.
Adam, that
Yeah,
they did things
yes.
together.
The animals, absolutely. Yeah, the
They
behemoth.
celebrated life together. They walked together. All of those kinds of things. So they they engaged in a relationship. Correct?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. Then when Yahweh decided that it wasn't good for Adam to be alone, did he have any concern that for himself that it's not good for me to be alone?
No.
No, he didn't say
Been
that. Did
alone
he?
for a long time.
Yeah. So Yahweh didn't say, "Hey, listen, I need another person because this one's not cutting it." Is that what that wasn't said, right?
No.
Yeah,
No.
he was perfectly happy.
What was said is that I think it's beneficial for the man to have a helper.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. So Chawa was specifically created to have a relationship not with God. And there is no way you can derive from Chawa that she was created to have a relationship with God. There is nothing that is said that would infer that in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
She was created specifically to have a relationship with Adam. Correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
What was that relationship to be based on?
He was a helper, common work.
That is correct. She was to help him. So if we are to follow that and extrapolate it, if there are women who are advancing the will of Yahweh, if there are women who are engaged in supporting God's people, if there is a woman who is going to speak for God going forward, wouldn't she be in support of a man?
Yeah.
Yes.
Would it ever be that the man is in support of her? Would
Nope.
that? So the man in support of the woman would be contrary to what God conceived,
Mhm.
wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But if
Correct.
the woman is supporting a man and achieving something, then that's a possibility. Even though we don't have an example where that woman, even if she is supporting a man, would be designated as a leader on behalf of Yahweh for his people. Because Yahweh was not ever said, I'm going to work through Chawa. He didn't have a relationship with Chawa. We don't even think he spoke a word to Chawa until such time as she corrupted
Right.
Adam and
Mhm.
herself. All right, so that would be an interesting insight, because if you look at the women that are favorably mentioned, like Sarah, her inner workings were through her husband, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the case with Ruth, the same thing is true. And if you look at what the case was with Chana, same thing. You look at even Deborah, and she chose a man to work through to accomplish the task. So it's an interesting insight in it, and it proved consistent over the
Yeah.
the 1,000 years of prophetic revelation. That model proved consistent. All right, so we know that Chawa was created not to have a relationship with Yahweh, not to work with Yahweh, but to work with Adam and have a relationship with Adam. By the way, Chawa, there's a lot of people that say Chawa means a life giver. Does it?
No. To announce. It's announcing. I got something to say. Yeah.
That's right. Chawa, Che would be life. Chawa means I've got something to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It is a word that is very often misconstrued as worship. Is I want to worship. But the actionable root of the word means I have something to say. I have an announcement to make. Isn't that interesting? Did Chawa
Voice
mean
ever.
I have an announcement to make?
Right.
Okay. So we have Chawa now, and she was created to help Adam, and she was created strictly to have a relationship with Adam, so that Adam would not be alone.
Right.
Okay. All right. Are we privy to anything that Chawa said to Adam thereafter? Do we know of
No.
anything that in the
No.
garden that they any conversation between them?
No.
Are
No.
we told? So, is there any place where God says, you know, this woman is really smart. She has thought all this through, and she has something to say that I want you to know. Did that ever happen?
No.
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 Never once. Huh?
No.
Did we find anything that Chawa accomplished in the garden that was worth noting?
Not
Do we have
positive,
any?
no.
Do we have
Not
any
good, but
indication?
not noting.
Well, yeah. Well, we get to the turning point here in a moment. God's version of the turning point. Now, did we have any indication that God interacted with Chawa at all prior to her going off the rails?
No. No.
Boy, that's interesting in itself, isn't it?
Yeah.
And where is Yahweh bringing us back to?
Gan Eden.
Gan Eden.
God.
Gan Eden, huh? And that was the conditions in Gan Eden, wasn't it?
Yep.
Huh. Okay. So it's interesting so far. Now, we now go to the realization that we are told the two of them were naked, and they were not ashamed. And God said nothing. Hey, by the way, you know, you guys are naked, and I'm kind of bashful, and this is really uncomfortable for me. So, you know, could you cover up? Was there any of that conversation?
No.
No.
No, none at all. Now, why do you think they were comfortable being naked?
Because they were with Yah. That's all they knew. That's
That's all they knew. Yeah.
That's all they
And they
knew.
had nothing to hide, right?
Right.
At this point, they had no knowledge of anything that would be considered wrong.
Right.
Mhm.
And it's actually Tob and Ra. So Ra,
Yeah.
by compared to Tob being good, Ra is wrong. So it was the tree of good and wrong, or good
Right.
and bad, if you wish. So they were naked because being exposed to God and to one another was comfortable, because at that point they didn't have any deceit. They weren't twisting the words and instructions of God. They had no deceit in them. And so there wasn't any interaction between the two of them that made either one of them uncomfortable with each other or with God.
Mhm.
It is not the reason that we're told. Do you think there's any other reason we'd be told that they were exposed? I think I can think of another reason to be told that they were exposed and were comfortable with it. What is the other reason? What do you think God, you think God's a dummy?
No.
Do you think God has some foresight?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think that God would be wise enough to figure out that the way that men perpetrate religion is by controlling women?
Absolutely.
That's true.
So when you look at religions like Islam, that would be Satan's most recent achievement. How are women dressed? Are they naked and exposed?
They're intense.
Covered from head to toe.
They go around in tents, don't they? No exposure at all. And what about in Judaism? Is it okay for a woman to flash a little ankle?
No.
No.
And now the glory of a woman is her hair. Women would do that. Can you be a married Jewish woman in Orthodox Judaism and keep your hair, Jeff?
You have to shave your head, and then if you want, you can buy a wig.
To cover yourself with something that's false, right?
Hello.
Okay. And can a woman get a divorce in Orthodox? In fact, in any form of Judaism, can a woman get a
No,
divorce on her
You
own?
need your husband's permission.
That is correct. That's called a get, isn't it?
Yeah, get lost.
Well, yeah, but it's a get. It's a get. And so the man has total control over him. And in Christianity, isn't that where we get this prudish culture of modesty? It really comes out of Christianity, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That's the one that's had the greatest influence, where Paul said, that you lord over women, and that, women have to be dressed in a certain way. So all of this modesty and dress, and no nakedness, and you better not talk about sexuality, because that's really bad. Did you think maybe that God foresaw some of that and said, I want you to know, I designed that. That is my masterpiece. I'm a better artist than even Kirk and Sylvia Miller. I made that, and I made that way because I thought that would be fun for them.
Yeah.
So maybe you think God is maybe mocking the religious approach?
Definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. And now, what do you think about the possibility, as a third possibility, that God is also saying you ought to enjoy being attracted to one another?
Mm-hmm.
You ought to be comfortable being exposed to one another. You ought to be in a relationship where you can be exposed to me and be comfortable around me, and be exposed to the women in your life or men in your life, and be comfortable around them, because you've got nothing to hide. Wouldn't that also be a good insight you could derive from that?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So why do women buy into the religious lie of modesty when God said exactly the opposite?
Because they're religious.
Because they're religious.
Yeah, because it's hard to get the religiosity out of people. And one of the things that I learned when I was exposing and condemning Islam through Tea with Terrorists and then Prophet of Doom, and I did those 10,000 radio interviews, is the most vicious supporters of Islam are the women.
Yeah.
And if you look at women and in those street marches and everything else, they're the ones that are the most vicious in support of the religion that demeans them.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So it says that they're clearly not thinking. They've got a religion where their God says that they aren't worth anything, that they have no value whatsoever, that the men own them, the men can beat them, they can starve them, they can kill them, men can even rape them with no consequence to the man. A raped woman in Islam is the one who is flogged and punished, not the perpetrator. You in that kind of religion. You have a religion where a rapist and a pedophile told you to wear a tent, and you will support that religion. What does that say about your intelligence?
It's a total lack of any.
Total lack of any. And so women in Islam have no intelligence. I mean, that's just the bottom line. You'd have to have no intelligence. Men have no morality. The women have no intelligence. And in Christianity, to go along with men lord over your husbands, you're not standing up for yourself either, are you? You got no courage, no backbone. No, that's not right. So this is not good. And do you find women in the Orthodox culture that are saying, I want out of this? This is demeaning. You can't, I don't want to live in a culture where the first words out of my husband's mouth every day is, thank God I'm not a woman.
Yeah, not a lot.
Not a lot. So
There's no exodus there.
The religious women have no backbone, no character, and very little intellect. All right. So let's just suppose that those are all lessons that can be derived from they were naked and exposed and felt no shame, and Yahweh had no problem with it. I think you'd have a very tough time arguing against any one of those four conclusions. All right, so that's an interesting deal. So they didn't know that they were naked, did they? They didn't even know it.
No.
They didn't even it meant nothing to them
Right.
until they went and contradicted Yahweh's instructions. Once they twisted Yahweh's testimony and went against him, it was then that they perceived that they were naked and tried to cover themselves. And they began by trying to cover themselves from one another, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yes.
So the moment that they twisted Yahweh's testimony to, and their motivation was Chawah's motivation. She wanted to be a goddess. The moment she did that, she knew that she was vulnerable, that she needed to hide what she had become.
That's very key. Yeah.
It's essential. She wanted to hide what she had become. That's
And
the
only
entire
other
reason.
person- and the only other person there was Adam.
Right.
Yeah.
And she wanted him to hide what he was.
Hmm.
All right. And what was God's first question? Who told you were naked? Right.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Yep.
And since they had clothes, there's really only one person that could have said, "Hey, let's." The person that was leading this charade was Jawa. She made up a rule, didn't she? Jawa made up a rule. Her first rule as the mother goddess was, "You're naked and you're not going to be naked. I don't like naked. I don't like being exposed. I don't like being exposed." Interesting. Okay. And what did they try to do once they tried the old? We're pretending it was a fig leaf, but once they went with the attire and they tried to cover themselves, what was their next move?
Hide.
Well, they wanted to hide.
Tried to hide from God. Didn't
Hide
they?
from God.
They did not want to be exposed to God. That's very much like the children of Israel during the Exodus, where God says, "I'm going to, you have 3 days, get yourself all prettied up and get yourself in the right attitude here, and I'm going to come down and speak to you." When they told God to shut up and go away, they never wanted to hear from him again. It's because there was no place for them to run, so they told God to leave. Same thing, isn't it? They don't want to be exposed to God. Talk a big game, man. They'll build false gods. They'll grumble and complain, but when it all comes down to actual exposure to God and to the Word of God, they are not comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
They will say, "No, God's Word doesn't say that. No, nothing doesn't apply to me. Nope." In fact, I recall the mother goddesses are really big on saying, "Nope, you're just reading stuff that has no meaning to us."
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, of course not. All right. So there's another interesting lesson about Eden.
Yes.
Okay. When the cherubim that we now know as the adversary, Satan, came off the wall, he was one of the cherubim that was protecting the Gan Eden, keeping the elements at bay, keeping them secure and safe inside. So she knew him. When he came off, did he approach Adam and see if he could beguile Adam?
Yep.
Did we even have any discussion at all that Hasatan had with Adam?
No.
Why do you think he picked the woman? Why did he pick Chawa? Because he did.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
She's more vulnerable,
Why?
emotional.
Correct. She was not rational.
It's a lot easier to manipulate an emotional person than it is an intellectual person.
That is correct. Also, is a Karub a member of the Malak?
Yes.
That's Saba.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What were the Malak conceived to do?
Exactly what y'all had them do.
Command and control.
Command and control. They are the Saba, which is a command and control regimen. They do what Yahweh asked them to do, don't they? When Yahweh revealed through the prophet Yahusha that he created evil, do you think he had a hand in creating Hasatan?
Sure.
Do you think that he manufactured do you think he created software that was malfunctioned, or do you think that he created him to do exactly what he did?
To do
exactly
exactly
Yeah.
what he's
It's the
told
only
you.
way there's choice. It's the only way there's
He-
choice. Yeah.
He programmed him to do exactly what he did, didn't he? And so he was programmed to go after the vulnerability of the irrational and emotional woman, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Indeed, he was.
Indeed, he was. I mean, there's no overlooking that. He's controlled by Yahweh. Yahweh was the one who brought him there. Yahweh was the one that created him. Yahweh was the one who gave him access. And Yahweh was the one who was telling us this story. And he went to Chawa, the one who wanted to announce her position, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when he went to Chawa, Did he say, eat from this? And first of all, did he quote God? I just began. Did he quote God completely errantly, mostly accurately, or completely accurately?
Mostly accurately.
Mostly accurately.
In fact, my recollection is he changed one word.
Yeah.
And it was the inference that God said that you couldn't eat from that tree, and that's not what he said.
It was
In
even
fact,
interrogative, wasn't it? He was.
God
Yeah.
God said you can eat from every tree.
Mm-hmm.
I just want you to know that if you eat from that particular tree, that it's going to cause your death.
Yeah.
And
Gave
so
him
Satan
a
just changed one word to deceive, because it would be very difficult if he came out with an entirely different paradigm. If he said something that was completely unrelated to God's instruction, then in fact, she wouldn't have bought it. The only way you can actually deceive somebody effectively is to mix truth and lies. That's why Babel is so effective. Babel, which is the basis of Bible, combing truth and lies to confound, is the only way that you can actually sell a lie. The reason that Jesus Christ is perceived to be the Son of God and the Messiah and Savior is because Dode was actually the Messiah, the Son of God and the Savior, who fulfilled Passover through crucifixion. And so there's a huge amount of truth. It's just that it all applies to Dode and none of it applies to Jesus. So that is what you have to do. You have to mix truth with lies. And he followed the technique that Paul would follow afterwards, which is to take a citation from God and remove it from context so that you don't know the context, which means you no longer can deduce the meaning. And then he changed one word in all of them. And by changing a word, you render the meaning the opposite.
Yep.
Isn't that what he did, didn't he?
Yep.
He takes things out of context to create a pretext.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then change one word so that it's mostly true. But a counterfeit bill is mostly true. But it's still a criminal act, and that is worse than worthless.
Yeah.
All right. So we have the stratagem of religion here. When Chawa was approached, did she just say, I'm not saying nothing. I'm not going to be incriminated myself. Whatever you say, but don't bring me in this scheme. I'm going to maintain innocence here. I'm not going to get myself in any trouble. Or did she flap her lips?
She proceeded to twist Yah's words even more.
She did, didn't she? A lot more. I wonder if there's a woman out there that's doing something like that. Just interesting. So she did. She went way out of her way but she said some things that were actually true. And she just left out parts that were also true that she just left out. And then drew a completely erroneous conclusion, didn't she? Now, when Hasatan, pretty astute, had watched her, saw the difference between the two of them. What was the temptation? You guys recall what the temptation was?
You eat from that, you will be like God.
Wow.
Okay, and what would you call a woman who is like a god?
A goddess.
A goddess.
A goddess. That is so interesting. So to buy into what Satan was offering by changing one word of God's testimony and taking it out of context, and then her rambling on to make it a little bit even worse than it was previously because she wasn't rational. She wanted one thing. What was it?
To be like God.
Was to be like God.
Like God.
She wanted to be a goddess.
Goddess. Yeah.
And what was her name again?
Jawa.
What does that
Jawa.
mean?
Will announce that I'm a goddess. Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to make announcements, and I want to be a goddess. Huh. I wonder if that's prophetic.
Well,
Who's
Asherah,
fo-
Isis, Astarte.
who's following along here?
Yeah.
And the mother goddess cult.
Mm-hmm.
What is the difference between what we have just considered and D and her going over and wanting to be the voice of God, that she wanted to speak for God. She wanted to replace
Mhm.
The actual person that God had chosen to speak through, and that whom she had learned everything she knew about God from, and that she wanted to speak over him, and that she wanted to speak for, who was it that did she, because I remember she wrote all these letters, and so did her little accomplice, her version of Adam that she had by the nose, was that David fellow. And how did he introduce himself? He says, we're leaving because we're speaking for Mother God.
Mm.
We're going to be speaking for Mother God. And by the way, you need to start speaking for Mother God, because if you don't start speaking for Mother God, lots of people are going to die.
Right.
No.
So when Chawa wanted to be a goddess, were there any real goddesses?
No.
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 When David and Dee created their Mother Goddess cult, was there a Mother God?
You know,
No.
No.
Does Yahweh ever say, "I'm your mom"? Dode, you're my kid, but I'm your mom.
No.
No. Never.
Does he ever refer to himself when he says, I'm going to take a walk? Was it ever she was going to walk in the garden?
No.
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 Is there any statement that we can find anywhere in the Torah and prophets, which is a lot, that is the voice and the message of Mother God?
No.
No.
Does Mother God ever say anything?
No.
No.
So how could you speak for Mother God unless you're making it all up?
Right.
So what was their part? They wanted to be a goddess. They were going to make it all up. That was the entire purpose of the breakaway cult, was to be mother goddesses. Just like Chawa. We're going to make our announcement. We want to be goddesses. So she then partakes passionately, rationally, emotionally, whatever. That's what she wanted. She craved it. She took it. And then what did she do to Adam?
Hey,
Convinces
come
him
with
to
me.
do
Yeah.
it.
Come
Let's
with
do this
me.
too.
And at that point, who was influencing Adam, Yahweh or Chawa?
Shower.
Shower.
Did
Chawa.
Hasatan say anything to Adam?
Nope.
Never.
No.
So the
No.
entire influence over Adam was woman versus God.
Mm-hmm.
And what did Adam choose?
Poorly.
He chose
He
woman
chose
over
very
God,
poorly.
didn't he?
Yes, he chose woman
Yeah.
over God.
So all of the men of the Mother Goddess cult, would that be similar?
Yes.
Okay. And the moment that they made that decision to choose poorly in this regard, what did Yahweh say? Oh, it's okay. No big deal. We're all family. We just all get along. Let's just overlook it. In fact, I had somebody this other today with trying to deal with this assault against me and my friends and my wife. Said, maybe you're pushing it too far. Was that Yahweh's response? He says, "Oh no, let's not take this too far. I don't want to fracture in the family. It's going to look petty if I respond to this. So let's just sweep it under the carpet. Let's just pretend like it didn't happen. Let's just all get along again."
No, he did not.
Am I missing something here, or was that not said?
No, you're cut out.
Okay, so they chose not to listen to God, not to follow his instructions, and they were booted out of the garden, weren't they?
Yeah.
Were they given a tongue lashing out of the way of the garden?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Were they called frauds? That God said, you're lying to yourselves, you're lying to me, and because of this, and because neither of you, even knowing now that we're having this conversation, because neither of you will take responsibility. Didn't both of them blame someone else?
Yes.
Yeah.
And neither of them took responsibility, did they?
Nope.
And did God
No.
say, "Hey, that's okay. Accidents happen. Little spilled milk, no
No.
big deal." Was that his
gone.
approach? No.
You're gone.
So when somebody said to me, you're being petty now. You're this is not a good look. You shouldn't be doing this. You really ought to let this go, and then you'll be fine. Was that Yahweh's response?
No.
No.
No. So the two of them took not Yahweh's approach, and they were booted out of the garden, weren't they?
Mhm.
And never
Yeah.
let back in, were they?
No.
No.
No
And
way
so
back.
what do you think would have happened if they had taken Yahweh's approach, which is to be intolerant of this and to confront it right there and say, no, you're wrong, and you need to accept responsibility for this? Isn't that Yahweh's response?
Yeah.
Yes.
So what do you think is the chance that I might be wrong by taking Yahweh's approach?
Zero.
Slim to none. Zero.
Yeah. And Slim is not doing well in the ICU, is he?
I'm just thinking about 2 Sam 6.
2 Sam 6. Oh yeah, 2 Sam 6. That's going to be a treat for the eyes and the ears as we go through it. All right, so we really have a prophecy here, don't we?
Mhm.
This isn't just a historic depiction of what took place in the garden, which is helpful because I'm the first person ever to tell you that the purpose of Sukkah is to bring you back into the garden, and that the earth is being transformed in the conditions we experienced in Eden, beginning at the first day of Chag Sukkah, which is Teruah. And so we are going back to the garden. And so should we expect in the garden that Yahweh is going to choose to work through men or through women?
Man,
Men.
Work through man.
Right? And women are going to be able to play a role, but are those women going to play a role by helping the men?
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Right. Does that make the woman a less of a person?
No,
No.
absolutely.
It just means we have a role.
Yeah.
And by the way, if I were given the choice, if I could be, for example, I'm playing the woman role with Dode. I'm the helper, right?
Right.
All right. Now, God chose a man to help Dode. But in that regard, what do you think my preference would be? If I could be the leader, Dode, or I could be the person assisting Dode?
Yeah. Support
What do
staff
you
is
think I
always
would
the way
take
to go.
1,000 of 1,000
Good
times?
support.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It is. You have all the benefits without the responsibility.
Mhm.
It is vastly superior. So, you want to be part of the millennial Shabbat? You better expect it to be exactly like Eden. If you're a man, you're going to be put to work. If you don't like working with Yahweh, if you don't like engaging with Yahweh, you don't belong.
Yeah.
You don't like work, you do not belong. If you think it's okay to twist Yahweh's testimony to suit your agenda because you want to make an announcement, you're not going to be included. If you are a guy that is in a group that is led by a woman who claims that she is speaking for God, you're in real trouble, aren't you? What happened to Adam when he tried that approach?
He got the boot.
He got the
Yeah,
boot.
he had the great excuse. He said, "The woman, she made me do it." And what did
Yeah.
Yahweh say? I'm not buying it, right?
Yeah.
I'm not buying it.
No.
So if you're part of that, you're not buying. And what is the consequence? You think God's going to change the next time this happens for this group? Hey, let's not worry about it just because you're demeaning my guy. Let's not worry about it. I'm good with a little sass. It's okay. What little evil? What harm is a little evil here and there?
No.
So what's your wrong? I don't really care about wrong. Right and wrong, it's overrated. Is that God's approach?
No.
And was there ever a time when Israel rebelled against Yahweh where Yahweh says, "Yeah, I really don't give a damn. You know, talk to me about something I care about."
No.
Let's just it's unseemly. I'm going to be accused of being a bully and being mean if I hold them accountable. So I don't want to do that. I don't want my reputation stained to be called a bully or mean because I'm holding them to a standard and I'm holding them to be responsible. Is that what God said? Because I want to be popular.
No.
I want them to like me. I want them to really, really like me. So I'm going to be tolerant and accommodating.
No.
Is that
Yah
what
is Yah is not a people pleaser.
No. So it was none of that, was there? And there wasn't any of that here. When they were escorted out of the garden, did God, would he try to be accommodating? Did he say anything to them that you could say, well, that's really encouraging. Thank you for at least the parting gift. And I appreciate the hug on the shoulder. And the pat on the back, I guess, did he give him any encouragement to say, hey, we'll get through this. You'll be able to come back in. Well, I'll give you a second chance.
Nope.
Was there any of that?
Nothing.
No. You did this thing. This thing was wrong. You blamed everybody else for your own mistake. And you're gone. And that's it. You're not coming back. And you are going to die.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, it's going to be really rough on you between now and then.
Mm-hmm.
And did he follow through?
Yeah.
Yes,
Did he ever
did.
did he ever make an accommodation after that?
No.
Okay. Can you name going forward over the next 6,000 years? And where do you only have 1,000 years of it being recorded, plus the time before the Torah was written. So let's just call it since the two of them up to the last of the prophets on Malachi. So you've got what 3,500 years, right? Of that 3,500 years time, how many of the prophets who wrote books based upon what Yahweh had to say to them were women?
None.
After the Chawa experience, how many were women?
None.
Not any, huh?
None.
Okay. Now there were 4 or 5 women that played some important roles, right?
Yes.
You can't put Chawa as a contributor here because she was a negative influence. But you get to there were 4 wives of Noach and his sons. Do we ever hear anything that they said and did?
No.
No.
Okay. In fact, we only hear from Noach, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's not an example. So what if we then go to Abraham and Sarah?
Sarah.
When God made the introduction, who was he talking to?
Abraham. Sarah laughed at Sarah laughed at him.
Right. Yeah. And well, that would down the road. But all the way, they meet 7 different times.
Mm-hmm.
And of those 7 different times, is there ever really a conversation between Yahweh and Sarah? Yeah, she laughed at him once. Right. You're no, it's you are going to get pregnant and have a child. And she, at one point, he says, "Do what your wife told you to do." But even then, it was her mistake. She was the one that came up with the harebrained idea. Do the my slave.
Right.
She made the mistake. And when she realized it was a mistake, God said, yeah, okay, that's right. Clean up the mistake. Because Abraham was also lost in all of this. So in their family disagreement, she was right. She made the mistake. She was right. He was wrong. But is there a cogent argument that she makes as to why this has to happen, that it was presented to God where God listened to both of them and said, this is what we're going to do? Does she give us any guidance? Does she participate in any of the covenant conversations?
No, one way.
No.
It was all with Adam and I mean with Abraham. And Abraham wasn't exactly the highest quality guy in the world either, was he?
No.
No. Okay, so that's not working out so well. And then from there, we go to the sons. It was a son that was born, and he picks a wife. Do we know anything about what she did that might be a little sketchy, or what she did that would be, oh wow, that was a real sign of leadership? Didn't she trick her husband deliberately?
Yes, she did.
Mm-hmm. She absolutely came up with a plot to deprive the firstborn of his birthright and to trick her husband and to giving her favorite the birthright. In fact, do you think that maybe this idea that the man from Edom and Obed Edom that saved the day not once but twice for Dode, do you think that person is named Edom as a result of, we're going to correct this wrong that was perpetrated long ago, and we're going to bring the family back together?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
You think that's maybe part
that's
of
it.
I mean, God
Interesting.
could have chosen a lot of names. He could have said man from, Congo, man from
Right.
any place. But he's, or, man from Judah, man from Israel, man from Moab. He could have picked a lot of different terms, but which one did he pick?
Edom, yeah.
Edom.
Edom.
Wanted to draw our attention somewhere, didn't he?
Yeah. Where would Edom draw your attention? Wouldn't it draw your attention to this story of the duplicity that caused him to be deprived of his birthright, and for the full brother, twin brother of Jacob, who became Yisrael, to be reunited, bringing the family back together?
Yeah.
What else could you deduce that would be intelligent from that story? Now, if you look at the story of Jacob, and he goes off to find a wife, he's kind of a mealy-mouthed kid that doesn't seem to be able to stand up for himself. Certainly not a very good negotiator. I wouldn't have done either of those deals.
7 years of work for a wife? Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, man, I ain't doing that. I mean, I will do work for my wife, but I work for my wife.
Yeah.
I'm not. I didn't go to her dad. Not that even she knew who her daddy was, but nonetheless. All right. So one of those two was playing with idols, wasn't she?
Yep.
Huh.
Yes, she was.
Yeah, and she brought Benjamin into the world and knew that was pure evil, didn't she?
Mm.
But we really don't have much testimony from either one of the two that you could say, well, there's a life lesson there. I mean, I can't say that sharing your mandrakes is a lesson to learn to live your life by. So there really isn't anything there other than Leah was the mother of Yehudah. That's pretty important, and that in the end she was the one who was hated and then eventually loved, and her sister was playing with idols.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're not getting any leadership here, are we? We're not getting God saying, boy, I'm picking that person, and that one's the one's going to convey my message. Okay. So we then come to Moshe's mom. It's interesting, by the way, we don't know Moshe's dad, and we don't know Dod's mom. Wonder if there's a story there. Anyway, we come to Moshe's mom, and what does the bastion of motherly love do?
Puts him in a basket. Yeah.
Puts him in a basket and pushes them down the river,
Down the river,
and a place that is keen on killing Hebrew boys.
The Hebrew boys, yeah.
Okay, that's a motherly love there, baby. Okay, and do we hear anything more from her?
Mm-mm.
No, not really, do we? How about the sister, Moshe's sister? We hear that she was a bit of a songstress, and so she led the woman's side of the chorus of the Song of the Sea. All right.
Yeah.
Next time we hear her, what's she doing?
Speaking for God.
Making an
Speaking for
announcement.
God.
She said she's demeaning Moshe's wife, just like the mother goddess did to my wife, and then claiming she's Jawa.
Yeah.
I too speak for God.
She's
And then God say, hey, okay, I listen, I'm tolerant, I'm open, the more the merrier. What could be wrong with having lots of people speak for me? I'm all for this. Maybe I overstepped in just choosing Dode. Let's not be sexist here. Let's even though she was attacking his wife, but nonetheless, let's all get along. I'll give you a role too. So here's some prophecy for you.
Kind of.
Well, kind of, but only in the sense of that whole story became prophetic of what we're dealing with.
Right.
Yeah. So Yahweh says, even if your father spit in your face, this is what I would do to you. And he gave her leprosy, didn't he?
yes.
And he banished her. And the last we hear from her in Debatim, she is presented as the example for divorce. Is being divorced from God a good thing?
No.
No.
Probably not. Probably not. So her claiming to speak for God got her separated, plagued with leprosy, reputation trashed, and divorced. So when somebody else claims to do that hasn't been authorized by God, where there's no prophecy that says, I'm going to inspire a mother goddess cult and I'm going to have a songbird that's going to be speaking for me. Is there a prophecy that says that's my person, and I'm all in on the Chodara? I'm all in on the Nakara. I'm all in on this woman who is going to speak for my maternal nature. We have one of those?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Oh. So what's the basis for this? Why would you expect God to respond any differently?
Yeah.
I'm just curious. I mean, is there we're gonna figure something out here? Is there a compromise position here?
Just this once, he's going to act out of character.
No.
Yeah, it was consistent throughout.
So
Yes.
So there is a difference, obviously, because out of the garden, even in the garden, Chawa was created to help Adam, not Adam to help Chawa.
Right.
Correct? Adam was created to have a relationship with Yahweh. Chawa was created to have a relationship with Adam. And then once they are out of the garden and they're receiving their justice, God says, "Man, you're going to work, and it's going to be hard. But you're going to work, and it's going to be really hard out there. But lots of weeds. It's going to be tough." And with the woman, it says, you're just going to have this emotional longing for the man, and emotions they drift between love and hate, and they're really fluid, aren't they? That's the difference between logic. Logic leads you in a direct path. I said, let's go through the story of Eden and let's logically analyze it, as opposed to let's get caught up in the emotion of it.
Yeah. How does it make you feel?
How does it make you feel? So the woman was going to be the feeler, and the man was going to be the worker. That is the statement out of the garden. And it's proverbial to this point. Now, there are some women that I'll tell you better listen to. I introduced Shannon to such a woman here on this island, and Rich has gotten to know her too. She's the boss lady of the island. She owns an amazing law firm. She's my closest friend on the island. She is brilliant. She has great character, and she has twice represented me. I'd never needed a lawyer for anything my entire life. I moved to this island, and we're in a different world here. And twice I needed a lawyer. I went to her both times for advice. She represented me free both times, and both times, I'm a pretty chatty guy. I like to study the facts. I knew the case pretty well, and during the settlement hearing, I offered some advice. You know what she told me? If you think you're so damn smart, you can represent yourself.
So, even attorneys don't represent themselves. No. You
listen to this woman and you trust her instincts.
Uh-huh.
She's going to think it through. In fact, her terms is every case is a puzzle to be solved. And I know how to present those puzzle pieces. She's really, really good at it. And so there are women in many areas that are exceedingly rational, well-informed, judgmental, and that I'm going to tell you, as a man who knows his way around pretty well, had a lot of experiences, I listen to her. I do what she says. In her field, she's the expert. Is there an expert in the field of Yahweh, presenting the terms and conditions of the covenant, the purpose of the Moed Mikre, the role that Dode played in fulfilling them, the overall timeline that we're in, the proper pronunciation of Yahweh's name, of any of these things? Is there a designated female that we should listen to, like this woman that I have such respect for?
Low. No.
Lots of no-no-nos, huh?
But I know a guy.
Yeah, when
boy.
yeah, I
Hey,
know a guy.
Mayday.
Yeah, I know a guy. All right, pretty straightforward so far, isn't it? So we ought to recognize that if we come to understand Yahweh's story, the way he tells his story, the way he explains his story, the way he gives us all of these insights all along the way. Oh, by the way, you're going back to Eden. This is what happened in Eden. And you'll notice that my response to you humans from the day that I conceived you in Eden to the time that you're going back to Eden is all consistent. No variation. So we can learn a lot if we know and then make the connections to understand. And the reason that this is all important on Sukkah is, what reason would I want to bring this all up on Sukkah?
Because we're returning to Eden.
And is that the purpose of Sukkah?
Yep.
Yes.
What day are we allowed back into Eden?
Sukkah.
Sukkah.
Sukkah. What does Sukkah mean?
Protected enclosure.
What does Gan mean?
Protected enclosure.
Protected.
So the more that we understand what happened there and how it's going to be repeated, the better prepared we are to enjoy our time with God and to realize that the last time humans were in this environment, they were 2 for 2 and opting out. And they wrote themselves out by wanting to be God, to speak for God, to be a mother goddess, and to twist the words of God. That's how they wrote themselves out of the story. So if you don't want to write yourself out of the story, what would you not do?
Try to speak for God.
And would you listen to a woman who wants to create a mother goddess cult, and that she's got her own version of the story? Would you do that?
That'd be a bad choice.
Did that work out really well for the two of them back there in Eden? Do you think God's going to make an exception after all he went through the first time and all the work that was required to get us back to it? After 6,000 years, you say, oh, well, I don't know. Why bother with all that whole story? Just, you're all welcome. Come on in.
No.
Why be mean? It's all petty in it, isn't it?
Yeah.
No.
No.
It'd be nothing but earth all over again.
No.
None of us
Would
want
we?
that.
Yeah, that's right. So would we expect, though, the people that have done this and who have emulated Chawa and Adam, taking it from Chawa, the twisting of Yahweh's testimony and wanting to be the first mother goddess, would we expect, based upon what Yahweh had his discussion with Adam and Chawa on the way out, and he asked them, why did you do this? And they blamed one another and never took responsibility. Would we expect the mother goddess cult and that group that is the insiders that are so involved in trying to, like they're so involved in trying to discredit me, they actually have a website now just dedicated to the purpose. Would we expect them to learn? Or you think there's any chance whatsoever that based upon this reasoned portrayal of what happened in Eden on Sukkah, as we're going back into Eden, what do you think the chances are that this is going to have an effect on them?
No.
Zero, right?
Yeah.
Zip.
Some of the fringe players, do you think maybe they might listen? I don't think so.
No.
Oh. Do you think there's a possibility, though, because they're calling every female in the covenant, trying to lure them into their group because, well, they're Chawa, they're speaking out. Do you think there's a possibility that there are some who are now or will be part of the covenant, make that intellectual choice to be part of the covenant, that may not be lured away because of what we've done here?
Oh, sure.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sure.
So is it worth doing even though we can't affect change in them?
Yes.
Well, yeah.
And is it worth doing when you have the opportunity to say, Yahweh has our back?
Mm-hmm.
Yahweh told us this was going to happen, and he explained exactly how we're supposed to respond to it, so that when it happens to us, we know exactly how we're supposed to respond because we're going to follow his example.
Yeah.
Is that worth explaining?
Yes.
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
it was here we are in an hour and 15 minutes into our program, and what we have done is analyzed Yahweh's explanation of this happened, this is going to happen. When this happens, this is the proper response. And I want you to share that. You think we're doing a pretty good job of that?
Yeah.
I
Yes.
think so, yeah.
And is that worth our time? Or would you say, I don't want to be bothered with this, enough already. We're, too much already. We shouldn't be doing this.
Absolutely.
And it's like you said, if they just decided they disagreed with you and I don't like this and just walked away, that's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. You have that right. I've been around long enough to have seen several of these, people that break away. And that's
Right.
what every other time that's what's happened. Like, they might put up a little stink at first or try and argue with it, but then eventually they just go, all right, I'm done. And they walk
I'm
away and
done.
we never hear from them again.
Right. Correct.
Do that. Why?
Not
This is the
not
first time
this
I've ever
one.
seen someone come this vehemently trying to attack you.
Yes.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is the entire Chawa experience, isn't it?
Yeah.
That
They found
goddess,
someone to stroke their ego.
the goddess mentality is what
Yeah,
it is.
it is it's the goddess mentality, and I want to speak for God too.
Yeah.
And it is very effective at luring people away. Now, while it isn't much fun to be attacked from the inside and on something like this is why Moshe gave up.
Yes.
And Moshe said, I can't do this job. It's a miserable job. Why would you do this to me? Why would you expose me to these horrible people who are saying all these horrible things? Because it's exactly what the family did to him, including his own sister and his own brother.
Mm-hmm.
So this breach of a family attacking the person that God chose to lead his people back to a relationship with him and to the promised land, which is symbolic of Sukkah, symbolic of Gan Eden. What Moshe got for that was 100% flack, criticism, abuse from his own family. And he finally said, not finally, 3 days in, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm done. This is impossible. I don't want this job. I hate this job. I might even hate you for giving me this job. You might even gone that far. And I just want you to kill me right now. Because this is a disaster and there is no solution for this mess. And at that point, Moshe did the thing that is, I think, an act of character within the human capacity. Because I've talked a lot about this with the fellas as to how do you deal with this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And what Moshe did is he said, all right, I know now my job is I only have to get them there. I'm not responsible for the condition in which they arrive. My only job is I have to get them there. I'm not responsible for, again, anything that they arrive. You and I both know, God, that they're obnoxious. And so all he did, took the passion out.
Mm-hmm.
He went through the motions.
Yeah.
And that's, the character in him said, I will see this through. I will get them there.
Right. Yeah.
But he went through the motions. And he never trusted anyone going again. Never. Even when people came to him and said, you can't do this by yourself. You need help. And he said, no, thanks. He felt vulnerable. Like he couldn't trust anybody. People that he had helped and benefited and supported turned on him. That's an exceedingly vulnerable position. No, I've spent 24 years. 12, 14 hours a day, 6-7 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
Learning, translating, sharing the insights that I have gleaned along the way. And I've never asked anything from anybody. Here, it's my gift to you.
Yeah.
And those who received that gift turned on me. Have websites to slander me and demean me. And I've not done a thing to them. The two most recent, I don't even know who they are. I had only one conversation with the most recent one, and it was because she was visiting my friend and called from a coffee shop where the two of them were. Otherwise, I'd never even had a conversation with her. And the other one I've never spoken to. And they're the ones that decided, let's have a website to domain him. How do you think that feels? And speaking of feels, because that's, how would you like to deal with that? To know that you put yourself out there. You wanted to be anonymous. God didn't want you to be anonymous. He wanted you to be vulnerable, which is what happens if you're named in the story. And do you have to endure that? How would you like that? And how would you like it when you're sharing that this is wrong, and it's been wrong from the beginning, and it's agenda driven, and it's been this agenda from the very beginning. And somebody say, you're being petty. Don't defend yourself. Don't defend your friends. Don't defend your wife. Just say nothing. I'd like to do with that.
Yah is not a turn the other cheek kind of guy. He's not that kind of God, No. That's not his way.
No. So then we get to Dode. Did he have his family? I mean, he's the greatest man who ever lived. No chance that Dode's own family, like his wife, his wife wouldn't besmirch him, would she?
Oh, yeah. No, she did.
Oh, boy, did she ever. And what about a son? I mean, a son, no way is your son going to do that, right? What a revolt.
Whole rebellion. Mm-hmm.
I mean, they got, what would you think Dode would do after all that happened? I mean, he had defeated all of their enemies. He had united them. He had kept the Philistines, who were terrorists, at bay, which, the last time that someone tried to deal with them, they got their head cut off. His best friend was killed trying to keep them at bay. He defeats them. He gets the Ark of the Covenant back. He defeats every enemy. He acquires Jerusalem. He acquires the Temple Mount. He builds the city of Dode. He provides them with 100 songs and word pictures through those proverbs. He does that for them. And what do they do to him? His wife and his own son betrayed him, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
How do you think that goes all over? What is the man's response when he has been out there prominent? He didn't say, hey, God, I want to be king, did he? He didn't say, God, could you make me the Messiah? God, I want to be the chosen one. Did he? God chose those roles for him, and he tried to fill those shoes, and he got creamed, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And finally, he just wore out. Just wore out. So it's a damn tough job, isn't it? And thus far, it's for everybody that's tried it. And we really have now the most vicious, the most dishonest, the most egocentric and self-serving enemy in our midst, following Chawa, who was satanically motivated, who had once been family. So this is what we're up against, fellas. And it gets your attention, I want to tell you. I will also tell you that what gets your attention is when Yahweh reveals things like I shared with everyone tonight, because I am positive no one has understood even 1% of what I shared with you, what we walked through tonight. It's obvious, right?
Yeah.
There's no part of that was tricky. But had you ever heard any of that shared before? And the conclusions? No, and you guys are well read. It's never been stated before. So God has our back. He says, yeah, I know all about this. I dealt with it myself. And matter of fact, tell you the truth, a lot of that story that was orchestrated to be prophetic, to teach us how to handle it at this moment.
Right.
And what you'd say, well, why would God 6,000 years ago orchestrate and then convey a story from 6,000 years ago just for you and these dimwits? Why would he do that? mean, can you think of any reason that the creator God of the universe is going to have an experience 6,000 years ago and going to have it committed to writing in the single most important book ever written? And he's going to tell us all of these details and tell us exactly what we need to know and nothing more, but everything we need to know for this particular moment. Why would he do that?
Because it's the most important time in history.
Yep.
We're leading up to the most important time in history. This is the most important.
All the way through this, you could be wrong, and there was time to get it right.
Yeah. Last chance.
What if no one gets it right over the next 8 years? Then what happens?
No earth. No nothing.
No earth. There's no Shabbat harvest. There's no Teruah gleaning. There's no sacrifice of the Adamah Parah. There's no remnant of Yisrael. There's no return with Dod and Yahweh on Kippurim, and there's no return of the earth and our reentry into Gan Eden on Sukkah, is there? Nobody knows anything about any of these things. There's no restoration of Yahweh's name or the role that Dod, as his son, played to fulfill Pesach, Matzah, and Bekurim in year 4,000 Yah. There's no time now to fail. And so God had better have our back. He had better be really, really good with the support and have stories like this that are so profoundly perfect for our moment, telling us exactly what's going to happen, why it is going to happen, how it is going to happen, and how we're supposed to respond to it. And then he would write the story in Numbers 11 with Moshe giving up so that we know this is what we're up against. And then Numbers 12 to say that's exactly what that woman is going to do and exactly how she's going to do it. And this is my response to it. Or Numbers 13, 14, and 15 that go through the story of the spies and the people lying about what God was offering and rejecting Yahweh's gift to have a version that was just absolutely BS. And having only 2 of those that left Mitzrayim allowed in. But also telling us the under 20s had another opportunity. And those under 20s had another opportunity. And then he spends the 15th chapter telling us exactly how he is going to make that possible. With a bull, with a ram, and with a goat. Yep. And precisely what they would achieve, and when they would achieve it, and how they would achieve it. So, why do you think the story of Numbers 5 exists, of this man that wants this bride? And yet she needs to prove herself because she's been accused of being a religious slut. And we have this story of how she's tested and how she's purged of that. And then we have the story of the Adamah Parah, Numbers 19. That is specifically designed to resolve that. Or why do you think that Yahweh says, the one guy I'm taking out of the timeline, I'm taking you, I have a big job for you. I was really impressed with the way that you roasted that bull. And while you were roasting the bull with the big fire and the water and all the sarcasm, and you went against the mother goddesses, the Asherahs, right?
Mm-hmm.
There were 400 of them, weren't there?
Yep.
The mother goddesses. And isn't that what Asher is? It's a mother goddess, the queen of heaven, the mother of gods. It is the living epitome of Chawa, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
The mother goddesses. On behalf of the Lord were the other 450, which is Hasatan. That is religion. And you were the guy that was willing to stand up against politics, against the king, against the queen, and against religion, and won against 850, plus all the political, plus all the soldiers and everything else. You did it, and you did it with humor.
You did it with style.
I'm taking you, pal. I got a job. Do I have a job for you? Because we're going to have another roast of a bull. And we're going to have another expose of what's wrong with the mother goddesses. And we're going to have another come to the truth meeting with those who perceive themselves as lords. Yep, I'm bringing you back, pal, because you're going to work with my bull. What a story, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And every detail along the way. He's given us prophetic insights. He's explained, this is my story. Then he explained who the players are, when it's going to happen. And then he gives you a beautiful flavor of all the way it's going to play off. Just so we continue, so that we have this wonderful confidence and affirmation from Yahweh that we're doing exactly what he wanted us to do. When, where, how, why. And we're going to get this done. So, I mean, I look at what we're up against and I say, I know you're optimistic, God, but why? Why? I mean, even the women who were exposed to the truth, who had years and years of exposure to the truth, even they went off and had their Chawa moment. They had their Miriam moment of rebellion, and they're still wallowing in it. And you want to now have this message resonate with people that haven't listened to you in 3,400 years, of the most obstinate, arrogant people on earth. And so people who are exposed to it and had it directly from you through your voice, and they couldn't handle it. They chose to write themselves right out of the garden. And now you want success with the most belligerent people on earth? Why are you optimistic, God? How's this going to work? I mean, it's a good question, right?
Yeah. We have success, but the success isn't necessarily, how to put it, anything that we do. Okay. We're successful, and our job is just to make sure that everyone gets the choice. Everyone gets.
We deliver the message.
We deliver the message. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we deliver the means to be resolved of being misled.
Well, that's you. That's
Well, that's still we're delivering it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I mean, there's eight people that are going to be part of that team that are coming forward that are going to be working to make that possible. And Elia contributes to it. Of course, it's like the sacrifice of the Passover lamb. Dode's sacrifice being crucified doesn't mean garbage if Yahweh's not using it to fulfill the purpose of Passover. If he's not opening the door of life by what his beloved son is accomplishing, it doesn't mean squat, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Dode's not going into Sheol with our guilt unless Yahweh is able to put our guilt on him and provide the conveyance into Sheol, protect him there with his Ruach, and then let him back out after it is deposited there. None of that's happening unless Yahweh is the one orchestrating it. But Yahweh chooses to work through guys.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so Dode is still, even in the midst of all of that, Dode is incredibly, awesomely important, because none of it happens without Dode.
It's pivotal. Absolutely pivotal. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, okay, so yes, Yahweh's lighting the fires. Yahweh's bringing the people in to be purged. He is the one that's providing the cleansing water. He's the one that told this whole story going up to this point. He's the one that enabled his son to fulfill the spring mikveh so that there is the benefit. He's the one restoring the earth to the conditions of Eden. He's the one that's eliminating all of the enemies. He's the one that's given us the playbook. He's the one that's going to write the Torah teaching aside. He's going to be kind of busy at that point. But is he not doing it through us?
Mm-hmm.
So from his point of view, it wouldn't happen if there wasn't an us. And at this point, what would happen? You're about to travel to the covenant family, right? Okay. You've been around the group that has come and gone, JB, for 20 years. And Kevin, you probably have the ear of more people now, particularly the engaged people, than anybody else. You're kind of in a captain seat, trying to keep all of this ship going down the right path here. If I were to say, just check out, say, God, it's been a good run. I enjoyed writing the books. The blog probably wasn't a great idea, and being on X and Facebook turned out to be really a nasty experience with what they are doing to me. I've done what I can do. Thank you, but it's just too much. I don't want to go anymore. What happens? Is there a plan B?
No, there is no.
Who's gonna learn what needs to be learned in those 35 books so that you can now do this program and we've now spoken for an hour and a half without a single note. Who's going to do that?
I couldn't.
You were driving the crunch. Did you find anybody that's?
Mm-mm. I mean, not me.
But
it's a short straw situation, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, realistically, what's going to happen? Now, I'm not threatening to do so. I'm not going to do so. I have too much respect for Yahweh. We've been through too much.
Yes.
And ultimately, I know that Yahweh was pleased with Moshe, and Yahweh was pleased with Dode, and they, after a while, they mailed it in. They didn't leave the job, but they just went through the motions, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
So if we can continue to the end, God's going to be pleased with us, and we're going to give it. Up to this point, I have given it total and complete devotion and passion, and we're going to try to maintain that level of devotion and passion. I think Yahweh now knows, however, that it's going to take more to endure the kind of criticism, internal criticism, and biting, this vicious maliciousness and this malignancy that is so pervasive, that it's going to take him playing a more active role to be able to endure that and maintain this level of passion and enthusiasm, to be able to deal with social media and then turn on these cameras twice a day. There isn't enough in any human, even with the benefit of the 7 Ruach of Yahweh, that we humans don't have enough capacity to do that with the level of passion that God needs it done, wants it done, unless God plays a really active role. And so to some extent, God's going to have to intervene.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that by the time we get to Shabbat, there's major intervention.
Yes.
And we know there's major intervention. I mean, like overwhelming. We're kind of, okay, we're players in the story, but it's 2 trillion to 1 by the time we get to the fulfillment of Teruah. And we would just be honest about the whole thing. Right. We're participants, but we're mostly spectators and celebrants, right?
Yeah.
At all of this, we're just going to be saying it's going to be like Adam when Chava first paired up. Wow, yowza! Okay, that was impressive. I mean, and so that whole thing is okay. It can be pretty miraculous. But I'm telling you that even before we get there, to maintain this level of enthusiasm and devotion and passion and commitment, Yahweh's going to have to. Going to have to be involved. It is not going to, I don't think it's going to happen without Yahweh stepping up. I recall today when I heard that they had gone all the way now to the point of having a Facebook site, and their internet site has always been this way. It's their primary purpose is to demean me.
Yeah.
And they do it for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
The reason that they demean me is that they know what Yahweh has said about me, and if any of that isn't completely, all of it, destroyed, then they're destroyed. Then what they had, the choices they have made are so counter to what God has said about this role that we are collaborating on together, that they've written themselves a ticket not just to Muth, but to Sheol. And so their only You only have two options. It's just to shut up and to say, well, that was a real stupid mistake. We did the Chawa thing, and that was really stupid of us. And of all the people that are trapped by it and seduced by the today's Chawa, to say, I don't want to stick around this. I really don't want to go to Sheol. I just as soon. I wrote myself out of the story, so I'm not going into Shamaim. Shame on me. That was stupid, but I don't want to spend an eternity in Sheol. I'm going to let you go. I'm cutting ties. Well, I don't expect that to happen. That is really their only option at this point. And so the mother goddess has to be full in on what she's doing. She has to play this to the hilt. And she has to essentially replace me by besmirching me. And that's what she's doing. And it's just not working. Because every time they take a stand or pick a passage that says, this is what supports it absolutely destroys them. We've played this game now 50 times where they've taken their stand and they're 0 for 50.
It blows up in their face every time.
Every time. But that's what proves that there's nothing to learn here. And so all we can do is encourage others not to be seduced.
Right.
That there is a major effort to draw people away. And that's just fine. Drawing people away is just fine. But drawing people away who should not be drawn away, who should augment the experience in Eden, we don't want that to happen. And so it's important that we do as Yahweh did, to confront, to hold accountable, and all of that. Well, I do want to share a little bit about what we read in Amos, because I thought that was just so interesting. And so we'll go through that here. It begins by saying, please pay attention. Because by contrast, Kihana, I will either instruct, I will direct, or I will shake. I will muah. I will stagger. I will move others out of the way. So I'm either going to guide or I'm going to move people out of the way. I'm going to do a little bit of both here. Every one of the Goyim, of the Gentiles. Now, by the way, Gentiles can actually apply, when it's plural, to more than those who are ethnically distinct from Israel and Yehuda. You know why? You guys have any why that occasionally Yahweh refers to Israel as a Goyim nation?
Because they are foreign to him.
Correct.
They chose it.
And because they have emulated the ways of the Goyim, that they have become more Goyim. Well, when Israel celebrates the fact that they have an increasing Christian population, and they're tolerant to Christians, even though Christians, the Christian New Testament exists to persecute, to malign, to dehumanize Jews and rob everything from them. They're proud of the fact that they've incorporated them into their culture. That's in direct conflict with God's instructions. They talk about how proud they are that they have Muslims that are part of their Knesset and that are actively engaged in their community, when that religion exists to exterminate them. So are they not acting like Goyim?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it can apply to Goyim.
Right.
By the way, with Dr. Jeff out, it means that he's doing something doctorish, like saving someone's life.
Yeah.
He is an emergency room pulmonary physician. Wow. And so when you do not want to need him, I will tell you that. If you need him, chances are you're not going to live very long.
Don't want to meet him at work.
He is one of my very closest friends. He is brilliant. He's got great character. Love Dr. Jeff. I will always love Dr. Jeff. I have great respect for him. And we have a wonderful relationship. We've met many, many times. But I never want to meet him on a professional basis. Because
isn't it the Sabbath? He's supposed to be right now, right?
Yeah, he's incubating you so that you can breathe on the operating table where they try to save your life. And chances are it's because you did something really stupid or your body is just giving out on itself. And oh, by the way, the most people he treats have done something really stupid. Drug overdoses, alcohol abuse. They've destroyed their bodies in one way or another, or they've got themselves shot, or not shot and be not your fault, but a lot of people put themselves in harm's way. All right, so that's what he's off doing. Rich is back behind the lights, but Rich is very, very busy when we have this many people playing in the show, and he likes to hide in the shadows. We ought to give him a really cool backdrop, though. If we gave him a really cool backdrop, he's got a new computer. He just hasn't hooked it all up. I think he figures that if he hooks his new computer up, then he can put himself in really cool backdrops.
We're gonna have fun. We're gonna have fun.
Yeah. That he's going to have to participate in more of these shows. Although he did one today, where most of the show earlier today was a Q&A with Rich, and he scored 6.5 out of 7.
Yeah, thanks for the heads up on that.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I know. Sorry about that. I like surprise. Yes, Rich has said, you wouldn't really do very well in a professional production company where everything is scripted and they have an agenda, and that everybody is coordinated to follow the script. Says, you probably wouldn't do very well in that.
Drive the producer crazy.
I would. Yeah, that's what exactly you say. Drive the producers crazy, because this program, for the most part, is let's turn on the lights and open the camera lens and
yes, it is.
Let's talk to the folks about what it seems that God wants everyone to hear, and that's what we do. So it says, please pay attention, because by contrast, I will either instruct, I will direct, or I will shake up. I'm going to move others out of the way with regard to every one of the Gentiles, which could also be Israelites, because they're acting a lot like them, particularly the Marxists and the ultra-religious and the Marxists. You got about 50% of Israelis that would be Gentilian, if you will, associated with or against the house of Israel. And you say, well, I'm an Israeli. How can I be against the house of it? Well, if you're one of those that is celebrating the return of 20 for the future demise of 7 million, I would say you're against the house of Israel. If you are religious and causing God to despise Israel and to stay away from Israel because you're promoting Judaism, I would say that you are against the house of Israel.
Yeah.
If you're promoting the integration of Muslims and Christians who want to annihilate you and who demean you and who have robbed you and have subjugated you, I'd say you're against the house of Israel. In fact, I would think the only way you can be for the house of Israel is to embrace Yahweh, to embrace his beloved son, to embrace the terms and conditions of the covenant, to embrace the Moed Mikre as God intended, to reject Judaism, Christianity, Islam, the New Testament, the Talmud, the Zohar, and the Quran. I think that's the only way you can actually be pro-Israel. And how many Israelis are doing those things?
Not very many.
So it'd be almost everyone who is Gentilian and associated with or against the house of Israel. Similar to how one moves a sieve back and forth, God says. What do you use a sieve for, fellas? Ever used a sieve? They have sieves in the country there, Kevin, where you live. Do you have a sieve?
Oh yeah, shake and bake. So
you got a sieve.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, little pieces out of big pieces. Yep.
Okay, and JB, ever used a sieve?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. Never used a sieve. They don't have sieve and rock and roll concerts. They don't have sieves.
Well, they may.
They may, but you never see one, huh?
Well, maybe the white powder crowd there.
Oh, okay. Well, sieve, It's,
You talking about sieve?
yeah, sieve.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So when you put something in a sieve, it's designed that the appropriate material, the refined powder, comes through, right? Mm-hmm. And the crud gets caught. It's like a filter, right? A sieve is very much like a filter. Yeah. The filter, like I've got water filters on my cistern. They preclude the crud from going through, but they allow the benefit of pure water to go through.
Right.
Oil filter would do the same thing. Would gas filter do the same thing? A sieve is a filter, right?
Right.
So God's going to have a filter. Yeah, but have I ever spoken of the idea of a filtering mechanism to determine who makes it into Shabbat, to Ruah, and to Gan Eden?
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. And are the religious providing a filter that would cause people to go the wrong way, lure them away? Yeah. But anyway, this is God's filter. This is God's sieve. And it's how one moves it back and forth such that nothing which is troublesome goes through. Nothing which is troublesome. So the religious, the political, the conspiratorial, the anti-Semitic, the militant, the mother goddesses, they aren't making it through that sieve, are they? Now, if you're using a sieve and nothing troublesome goes through, what do you do with the contents that is troublesome that you were trying to filter out of the sieve? You ever taken a water filter out of a cistern system? What do you do with it? What do you do with a spent fuel filter or a spent oil filter? What do you do with it?
Trash it.
You trash it. So what do you think? If you're using the sieve to decide what is useful, that it comes through, and the stuff that is not falling through is the stuff still left in the sieve, are you going to then mix it back in with the good stuff?
No.
What was the purpose of the sieve, right?
Right.
So what do you do with it? You trash it, don't you? Okay. That's what God said in Amos 9:9. There's a filter. And that which is caught in the filter is trashed. Doesn't fall through. By the way, coming to the earth, that's a really good thing at this point, because if you fall through to the land, your chances are you're going to be a recipient of the sacrifice of the animal parah, and the likelihood is you're going to be allowed into Gan Eden. So it's pretty good to fall to the earth at this point. But now, if you can't fall to the earth and you're in that sieve, where would that sieve be dumped?
Off Earth?
Off Earth. Off Earth. Because it's not on Earth. It's got to be off Earth. Is there a place to dump trash that is troublesome off Earth?
Oh, yeah.
Sheol. But people get really angry with you if you say, you're writing yourself a ticket to Sheol. I don't need to condemn you to Sheol. You've condemned yourself. I'm just recognizing that what you have done is put yourself in that sieve, and that sieve is being trashed off Earth. Sheol, baby. Sheol is hell. By Chorub, the cutting edge and dividing line, every one of my people who have missed the way or have misled will die, including those who protest. What are they protesting? Oh, the implications of wrongdoing associated with our companions. They don't apply to us. We will not have to confront them. You can't tell us that we're going to Sheol. That's not going to happen, such that it comes around to us and extracts a price from us. No, we're every time they pick a passage and we show, no, I'm sorry, it says exactly the opposite. I said, what's the first thing? He said, no, it doesn't apply to us. Numbers 12, no, it doesn't apply to us. No, I'm sure they'll read. No, the Eden account and Chawa, nope, doesn't apply to us. We're not going to pay a price for that. Okay, so we attacked everything that we used to support, and we turned so that we are nothing but a bunch of embittered malcontents. Doesn't apply to us. We changed Yahweh's name. Doesn't apply to us. We claim we're speaking for a mother God. Doesn't apply to us. And so what is God saying to doesn't apply to us? I didn't do it. Chawa and Adam, I didn't do it. She made me do it. I didn't do it. The devil made me do it. What is God's answer to it? Doesn't apply to me.
You're out.
Moose will die.
You're out, right? Right. Yeah. Sorry. Even those who protest, it doesn't apply to me. Bingo. Pin the tail on the donkey. Thanks for playing. During that day, I will erect and establish a sukkah. So after the sieve and after the tossing away in Sheol, I'm going to establish a sukkah. That's when it's going to be established. So that Siv day, is that not Teruah?
Yeah, that's the working day. Yeah.
That is the Teruah day, isn't it? The Siv day.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, he's going to confirm a sukkah. And what is this third of the 3 times that we meet with God that includes Teruah and Kippurim? What is it part of? Sukkah, isn't it?
Sukkah, yeah.
It's Jog Sukkah.
Yes.
So during that day, I'm going to erect and establish the sukkah. Now, this could be could include a number of different things, because it says, I'm going to establish the sukkah, which is the sheltered dwelling of David, which is fallen. So he could be literal right here and say, I'm establishing the sukkah for Dode on the first day of Chag Sukkah, as such that right there on the Temple Mount, I'm going to have the sukkah for Dode, or it could even be down there in what was the home of Dode and the city of Dode on the bottom of the ridge line, where those signs lead up to God's home. Could be in either of those places, couldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So God could be literal right here. He could establish the sukkah of Dode the moment that we're fulfilling Teruah, because all evil has been expunged from the earth. The people that are religious have been taken away. That's the sieve, that red, it should be the black chariot. That's the sieve. They're all being hauled away. The white chariot is bringing the remnant in. Those are the ones that are falling back to earth. They're coming in on the white chariot. And the dappled chariot is going to bring the Goyim in, who also are going to land right there on the earth so they can be purged. Why not at that point establish the sukkah of Dode so we can all look at it and say, that's why we're doing this. The herald is doing it for the king.
Yeah.
The father is doing it for the son. The children of Yisrael and the Goyim are there to be the subjects of and to serve the king, to receive the king. So why not put his sukkah right there and say, this is the sukkah of Dode, and to put it there prominently right there at that moment so that we're all fixated on why we're doing this, because we're not doing it for ourselves. And I don't need to be sacrificed as the Adam of Parah. I don't need 3 years of witnessing to the children of Yisrael for me. I already know the message. I'm not doing it for me.
Right.
I'm most certainly not laying down my life for me. Right?
Yeah.
So why not have the symbol of Dode right there? Because it's all for Dode. Now, do you think they'd have a sukkah of Dode and would bring Dode back after the fact that towards the end of his life, he just went through the motions? If Dode didn't do something exemplary between the end of that first life and his return, if Dode didn't fulfill Pesach, Matzah, and Bekorim, why would he be this prominent in God's story?
Yeah.
And how was the sukkah of Dode taken down? Why did it fall? Why did it nafal? Which is a really powerful term, because Yahweh eliminated the nafal, didn't he, during the flood? Wasn't it the Nephilim?
Yeah.
Plural of
Kneelers.
nafal?
Yeah.
Yeah. So nafal is a pretty loaded term. When the spies went into Yisrael and said, we don't want to go there because, they got the Nephilim are in there. Of course, they weren't. They were already eliminated. But isn't this a really loaded term?
Mhm.
And isn't Nephilim a term that, because it means to bow down, wouldn't it be symbolic of religion?
Mm-hmm.
And so if God's going to use the term that the sukkah of Dode has nafal, do you think that maybe he's saying that the religious tore it down?
Yep.
And that his own people tore it down as well? I think so. So who is doing the restoring of it? Are you familiar with this passage enough to know that when it was torn down by obviously the religious, which is the very people that God wished that he had not even created humanity, they were so bad that he wiped them out during the time of the flood, the Nephilim. And they tore this down. They were being political, they were being vicious, they were being religious, they were doing all sorts of bad stuff. They tore it down. Who's building it back?
Yahweh.
He says, I will repair it. I'm going to restore it. This is the story of 2 Samuel 7. Dod says, I want to build you a house. Yahweh says, are you out of your mind, kid? You're not building me a house. I'll build you one. But no, you're not building me. This is Yahweh's final retort. Yep. There you go, kid. I built you a house in the most important place on earth. And I'm going to restore its breaches. Everything that was broken, everything that was in opposition to it, I'm restoring it all. I'm restoring its breaches. When the bull was kept from pulling the Ark of the Covenant across the threshing floor, and God killed the man who interfered with that. He used the term that it was because of the breach. This is God's story. You don't interfere with his story. And he's serious about this story. He's going to repair those breaches. Even Dod had a breach of trust with God at that moment. I'm going to repair all those breaches. All of those things that we should have done, could have done, might have done, all going to be healed. The breaches are fixed. And then I'm going to raise up whatever is in disrepair. Anything that Christianity ripped apart to create the myth of Jesus, anything that Judaism created for the myth of the misadventure of Bar Kokhba, everything that Muslims have destroyed in terms of all that Dod represents and his people represent, God says, I'm going to fix whatever is in disrepair. I'm going to heal it all. And then I'm going to rebuild it. So that it is like long ago and will endure forevermore. So it's going to be like it was. And like it was is as it will be. Does that remind you of a story that we might have shared at the beginning of this program, fellas? A sukkah, a protected enclosure as it was, which is as it will be.
Gone and done.
Have we come full circle?
Full circle.
Does Yahweh like to come full circle?
He
Yep.
likes to come full
He
circle.
does. He is an amazing storyteller and all of that. So here's now Amos 9:12.
Wow.
As a result, all of those who are called by my name, Yahweh, all of those who are called by my name will inherit. They will gain possession of. They will benefit from that which is associated with the remnant and the remains of Edom. Of Edom, not of Moab, not of the Egyptians, not of the Babylonians, not of the Assyrians, not of the Romans, not of the Greeks, of Edom. Why do you think that the inheritance they're going to receive, and it's the remnant that's going to receive it, why in the world are they going to inherit as a result of all of this with that sukkah of Dod reestablished at this moment? Why is it that they're going to receive an inheritance that comes from Edom?
It's the man from Edom.
Because there's a man from Edom.
Man from Edom.
That's total
Bloody red
reconciliation.
man.
Obed-Edom bailed Dod out and brought the Ark of the Covenant into Jerusalem, didn't he? He is the one who serves from Edom. And is it not true that the man from Edom is the one that Yeshua says in the end is the one who comes and saves many? In fact, he even says that the man from Edom is his
Zeroah.
But don't the mother goddesses say that there is no person that's a Zeroah?
Yeah, there's no Zeroah
Oh,
in their
okay.
world.
All right. Anyway, yeah, that's that guy, right? Isn't it? And he was Edom is named after Esau, right? And Esau was the twin brother of
Yaakov.
Jacob. who was denied his
Birthright.
His
inheritance. The
inheritance.
guy who was denied the inheritance is the one that is providing the inheritance.
Wow.
How's that for a story?
Full
That's a
circle.
great story, and you're reconciling a total reconciliation. Total reconciliation.
So why would anybody want to go and challenge the wit of Yahweh? Why would you want to mess with his story? I mean, I can't even imagine why anybody would be motivated to say, "No, I don't like this story. I don't like the man from Edom. I don't like that whole thing. So Obed Edom, that's it. That means nothing to me. The man from Edom that saves many, that means nothing to me." This reference that the remnant is inheriting what is being offered from Edom. Edom is the brother of Jacob, and he is the one who was denied the inheritance, is restoring the inheritance. That doesn't resonate with anybody. Doesn't give God credit for being the ultimate storyteller, bringing all the pieces back together. What other reason would there be for telling us the story? Why not just say that Jacob was the firstborn as opposed to Esau, if you weren't going to use that example in this way? Wouldn't that be the reason that you would use that the man that the woman cheated out of his inheritance? His own mother cheated him out of his inheritance. And he's the one that is providing the inheritance that unifies Israel at the end.
Oh.
Wow.
God's good at this storytelling stuff. And this story takes place over, 4,000 years?
Mm-hmm.
But time with him is immaterial.
Yeah.
The man who is associated with Edom, in addition to the Gentile nations, there is not just an inheritance that is being restored to Yisrael by the gift that the man who is deprived of his inheritance is offering as the man from Edom, but there's also Goyim now that are being brought into Jerusalem to work. That is the whole purpose of them. They're there to work. They're the right attitude, right aptitude. They're there to work. And we have this on authority because prophetically declares Yahweh, who said, Asha, I'm going to make this happen. So going back to, we're all players in the story, but it's Yahweh who is going to make this happen. When you have someone who can tell a story that well, who has a consistent presentation of what he's going to do and how he's going to do it and why it is going to work and when and where and why, over 6,000 years, why would you challenge him? Why not just accept it? Why not say, hey, I'm in, count me in?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either. Well, why did Chawa went out of the garden? Because she wanted to be a goddess. She wanted to write her own story. That's not a good idea. I'd rather be part of God's story. Now, once again, would you rather be God? Or would you rather be the one who works with God and has the opportunity to help God?
I'll work with them.
The latter.
What would you?
the
Yeah.
latter.
What would you rather? Yeah.
The latter.
Listen. I think I have a tough job, and I'm working for the guy that works for the guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is a tough job. Can you imagine being the guy that I work for,
Right.
or can you imagine being the God that he reports to? You talk about responsibility. Oh my goodness. So, I just think it's marvelous that what God has said about Sukkah. It's going to be the Sukkah of Dod. Sukkah is all about Dod, and we're returning to the garden, and he is the custodian of the garden. He is the shepherd of the garden. He is the king of the garden. He is God's chosen one. He is the beloved son, and that Sukkah is his wedding tent because he'll be married to the most beautiful woman in the history of Israel. Long live the king. So it's good that you're back, my friend Jeff. We're going to say good night. We've gone just over 2 hours tonight. Shannon, it was a delight to have you. Wookie, I'm glad you were able to show up and make a contribution here to this program. And Kevin and JB, you guys are awesome. I appreciate your dedication to the knowledge and understanding of Yahweh and contribution in this program. And Dr. Jeff, it is just a thrill to have my good, trusted, and honorable friend to be part of these programs and of my life.
This has been a stupendous show. My goodness, the lessons and the way you presented this in the incremental fashion, bravo, and kudos. Bravo.
Yahweh knows what he's talking about.
Yes.
It's all there for us to capitalize upon it. My friend Rich constantly reminds me is that today was a stunning series of revelations. We finished the previous show and we just were laughing. It was so impressive what God had to say. We just looked at each other and just busted out laughing as to how
Connecting the dots live.
Just literally on the fly, completely extemporaneously, seeing the picture God was painting and being able to connect the dots. It was so marvelous. We were having such a great time. We just broke down at the end of the show and started laughing.
Okay.
And what you've said here is that we have seen something that no one has ever seen before.
Mm-hmm.
And it was always there. And it was for us. And it's not for us so much to treasure as it is for us to share, so that more people can capitalize on what God is offering. It's such a beautiful gift, and he presents it so wonderfully that I hope there are many who listen. I hope there are many who capitalize on what we're offering, and who make it through that sieve. We are going to have some wonderful experiences together if you're part of that. And we thank you for listening. We welcome everyone for our continuing celebration of Sukkah. I wish we could have shown you a beautiful fire out there this evening, but we need the rain. We love the rain. We live in a place where rain makes such a wonderful difference in our lives and the beauty of our island garden here. So we're delighted to have it. And we're also delighted that the Malachim worked their job once again, and the mighty storm is passing by, just grazing us with light breezes and warm water. So we are most appreciative and most grateful. And mostly, I'd just like to thank you.
Yes.
You are just so unbelievably, miraculously, marvelously supportive. And it is such a thrill to be able to serve you in this way, to learn from you like this, to offer these kinds of insights, to know that you have led these eyes to see things no one has ever seen before, even though they were hidden in plain sight. And to be a conduit for being the first to perceive it, and the first to share it, the first to enjoy it, the first to give it away. I thank you, Yah. That is indeed a marvelous opportunity and experience, and I'm grateful for it. And I'm grateful for my friends. Have a wonderful Shabbat. We'll talk again tomorrow. Good night.